They say every school has its secrets. Crestwood High kept theirs buried in the dark, until the storm came. When the substitute teacher arrived, he thought it was just another day, another class. But by nightfall, the lights had died, the halls had begun to whisper, and something old had awakened beneath the floor. Now, the line between the living and the dead has vanished. And one man must face what the school tried to forget. This isn't just a haunting. It's a lesson written in fear, and paid for in fire. The substitute's last lesson. The morning sky hung low over Crestwood High, soaked in shades of gray. Rain hissed against the cracked parking lot as Mr. Allen pulled up in his aging sedan, windshield wipers slapping a rhythm that matched his nerves. It was his first day as a substitute here, another forgotten small-town school on his rotation list. He straightened his tie in the rearview mirror, practiced a quick smile, and stepped out into the drizzle. The wind cut through his coat, the school loomed ahead like an old photograph left too long in the dark. Inside, the corridors smelled faintly of damp wood and chalk dust. The janitor nodded without meeting his eyes. Lockers lined the hall in uneven rows, their metal doors scarred with scratches. Somewhere far off, a bell rang, long, echoing, tired. Students moved sluggishly through the corridor, their chatter dropping when they noticed him. Whispers followed. A tall boy muttered, "Another one," and the others laughed nervously. Mr. Allen pretended not to hear. He had dealt with plenty of school legends before, rumors designed to spook new teachers. He told himself it was nothing more. Room 214 was dim when he entered. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead, buzzing softly. Posters hung in wrinkled curls, their corners stained from old tape. He placed his briefcase on the desk and wrote his name on the board in clear letters, Mr. Allen, substitute teacher. The squeal of the marker echoed too loudly in the quiet room. Students drifted in, dragging backpacks and half-awake faces. They took their seats, whispering again. He caught a few phrases, "Last time, don't stay late, lights." Their tone wasn't playful, it carried the careful hush of children reciting a secret. "Good morning, everyone," he began, forcing brightness into his voice. "I'll be taking you through 20th century history today. Let's make it a good one." A few polite smiles, then silence. Rain thudded against the tall windows. He called roll, mispronouncing names, trying to earn a laugh. None came. A girl near the middle, small frame, dark hair, kept glancing at the classroom door. The movement became so repetitive it drew his attention. "Lily, is everything all right?" She startled at the sound of her name. "Yes, sir," she whispered, eyes fixed on the doorknob. He nodded and continued, though curiosity pressed at him. As he began speaking about World War I trenches, the overhead light blinked once, just once, but enough for every student to look up at the ceiling in perfect unison. Mr. Allen chuckled. "Relax, everyone. Just old wiring. Happens in stormy weather." No one laughed. When he turned back to the board, chalk in hand, he noticed his reflection in the glass frame of the door, behind him, rows of motionless students. And in that half-reflection, for an instant, a shape stood outside the classroom, tall and indistinct. Lightning flashed, washing it away. He spun toward the hallway. Nothing there. "Probably the janitor," he muttered. The students didn't move. Lily's lips trembled. "He's back," she said softly. Mr. Allen frowned. "Who's back?" She didn't answer. The room's temperature dropped, a subtle shift he felt in his hands first. His breath clouded faintly. Rain hammered harder. He crossed to the windows and tugged them shut, but they were already latched. When he turned again, the classroom door was open 2 inches. He was sure he'd closed it. "All right," he said carefully, masking the unease crawling up his spine. "No need for pranks. Everyone focus on the lesson." He shut the door firmly and resumed writing on the board. The chalk broke in half between his fingers. A low creak sounded behind him, like someone shifting their weight on the floorboards. He looked over his shoulder. All the students sat rigid, eyes fixed ahead. None had moved. Who did that? No reply. Only the hum of the flickering lights and the distant growl of thunder. Trying to steady himself, he returned to the desk and flipped through the attendance sheet. Paper edges fluttered as if stirred by a passing breeze. He pressed his hand on them, noticing that the window blinds swayed even though they were closed tight. Lily's voice came again, barely audible. He comes when the lights blink. He looked up sharply. What do you mean, he? She met his eyes then, pale, terrified. The last substitute said the same thing. Before the lights went out. Mr. Allen forced a small laugh, though his throat felt dry. Well, I'm still here, aren't I? As if in response, the lights flickered twice, paused, then once more, 3 short blinks. The room plunged into semi-darkness, emergency bulbs casting weak halos on the ceiling. For a few seconds no one breathed. Then the old clock above the blackboard began to tick again, louder than before. He glanced toward the hallway window. Through the glass, a shape shifted near the lockers, a movement too steady to be imagined. The tall silhouette paused, head tilted as if listening. Mr. Allen's rational mind struggled to keep control. Stay seated, he said calmly, though his voice wavered. He opened the door and stepped into the corridor. It stretched empty in both directions, lined with shadows. A single locker door hung open, rocking gently. He closed it, turned back, and saw that every student was now standing at their desks, eyes wide, facing the same direction, the open doorway behind him. Back to your seats, he said, forcing a teacher's authority. They didn't move. Lily raised a trembling finger and pointed past him. There, she whispered. He turned slowly. The air shimmered like heat haze though the corridor was cold. At the far end, something dark retreated around the corner. He shut the door fast and drew the blinds. The class sat down again, breathing shallowly. Storm must have hit the generator, he said, his tone uneven. Let's keep working until it passes. Before the lights flicker again, I've got to ask. Would you walk into a school everyone else is too afraid to talk about? If you're brave enough to find out what waits in the dark, hit that like button. And subscribe, so you don't have to face it alone when the next bell rings. Outside, thunder cracked like splitting wood. The light steadied, then dimmed again. Mr. Allen rubbed his hands together for warmth, glancing at the clock. The minute hand hadn't moved. He returned to the front, trying to anchor the moment in routine. All right, open your notebooks. Let's talk about endurance, how soldiers kept courage in dark places. He smiled faintly, almost convincing himself. It's just a storm, he added. But in the far corner of the classroom, where shadow met wall, something unseen shifted once more, and the faintest echo of footsteps followed the sound of his words. Mr. Allen did not turn around. He kept speaking, steady and brave, as if sheer will could hold the darkness at bay. The rain outside never stopped. And deep within Crestwood High, something old listened. The final period began with the uneasy silence of a building holding its breath. Outside, the storm clawed at the windows, thunder rolling like distant drums. Inside, the classroom lights flickered one last time before giving out completely. A dull red glow replaced them as the emergency lights came to life, washing the room in an eerie color that made every face look ghostly pale. The students stirred, whispering. Someone at the back gasped when a chair creaked on its own. Mr. Allen raised his voice over the rain. Stay calm, everyone. It's just a power cut. We'll head to the gym, it's safer there. His voice was steady, though his heartbeat wasn't. The air had changed, it felt thick, humming faintly like a living thing. He gathered the class into a group, using his phone's flashlight to cut a narrow path through the darkness. The beam wavered against the red shadows of the corridor. As soon as they stepped out, a hush fell over them. The hallway stretched endlessly in both directions, lined with locker doors half open like gaping mouths. "Stick together," he said. "No one wanders off." The sound came then. A whisper, faint but close. It wasn't wind. It was a voice. A girl's voice, soft as breath, calling a name. "Evan." The boy named Evan froze mid-step. "Did you hear that?" "Keep moving," Mr. Allen urged, but the whisper came again, from a different direction this time, lower, urgent. "Evan, help me." He shone the flashlight down the hall. The beam fell on nothing but old bulletin boards and peeling paint. The students pressed close, eyes wide. Every footstep echoed louder than it should have, bouncing off the lockers in long, distorted rhythms. They turned a corner, the gym doors still several corridors away. Another whisper rose, closer now, multiple voices, overlapping, whispering different names. Some sounded familiar. Others seemed to come from behind the walls themselves. One of the younger students began to cry softly. Mr. Allen kept his tone firm. "We're nearly there. Just focus on the light." A loud bang cut through his words. A locker door had slammed shut, then another, and another, rippling down the hall like falling dominoes. The noise grew violent, echoing off the walls. Metal clanged and rattled as if invisible hands were striking every door at once. "Run!" someone shouted. "No!" Mr. Allen barked. "Stay together." He quickened his pace, leading them through the noise. The flashlight trembled in his grip. Ahead, the red light pulsed, dimming then flaring again, making the walls seem to breathe. In each flash, shadows shifted, long and wrong, twisting against the ceiling like figures crawling upside down. One boy, Jason, broke from the group, bolting toward the next corner. "I see something, an exit," he yelled. "Jason, stop." But he was already gone, his footsteps vanishing into silence. The others hurried after him, rounding the corner only seconds later. The hallway was empty. No Jason, no sound, just his backpack lying in the center of the floor, one strap torn, the zipper still swaying. Lily knelt beside it, trembling. "He was right here," she whispered. Mr. Allen's throat tightened. He shone the light down the hall again, sweeping it across every surface. The beam caught movement, something darting between doorways, too quick to name. It wasn't human. He stepped forward, forcing calm into his voice. "Everyone, back in a line. Hold on to each other." No one argued now. Hands clutched sleeves and backpacks as they moved, each breath louder than the last. The whispers followed, circling them, imitating their voices. Lily's name came next, spoken perfectly in her own tone, echoing from an empty classroom. She whimpered, burying her face against her friend's shoulder. The storm outside roared, lightning flashing through the high windows, momentarily blinding them. For a heartbeat, the flash illuminated figures standing at the far end of the hall, tall, motionless shapes with no faces. When the light faded, the space was empty again. Allen refused to let panic take hold. "Eyes forward," he said. "Keep walking." He kept the flashlight fixed on the path ahead, though every instinct screamed to turn back. The air had grown colder, their breaths drifted in faint white trails. A low hum vibrated through the floor. The lockers began to rattle again, not violently this time, but softly, rhythmically, as if something were moving inside them. The sound followed the group, a steady metallic heartbeat. They reached the junction before the gym. The red lights here flickered weaker, painting the floor in uneven patches. The exit sign above the gym door glowed faintly, the only spot of normal color in the building. Relief surged through the group. Then a whisper spoke again, clear as glass breaking. "Don't go." Everyone froze. The voice wasn't calling a name now, it was warning them. Mr. Allen hesitated, torn between instinct and reason. The warning had come from behind, from somewhere near Jason's abandoned backpack. He turned, raising the flashlight. A figure stood at the far end of the hall, tall, blurred by distance, facing them. "Who's there?" he called. No reply. The figure tilted its head, then stepped forward once, slow and deliberate. That was enough. He grabbed the door handle, pushing it open. Inside. "Move!" The students rushed through, shoes squealing against the wet floor. Mr. Allen was last, slamming the door behind him. The whispering stopped instantly, cut off like a severed wire. Only the thunder remained, rolling through the roof above them. He leaned against the door, breathing hard, listening. No footsteps followed. No voices. Just silence and rain. Lily stood near the bleachers, clutching her notebook to her chest. "Where's Jason?" she asked in a trembling voice. Mr. Allen looked at the group, counting faces, his pulse drumming in his ears. "We'll find him," he said quietly. "We'll find all of them." The emergency light flickered once more, and for a split second, he thought he heard the faintest whisper through the crack beneath the door, Jason's voice this time, calling softly from the other side. Then it was gone. Mr. Allen stared at the door, knowing something beyond it was still moving, still listening. The storm outside raged on, but it no longer felt like the source of the fear pressing against the walls. Something inside Crestwood had woken fully now, and it knew their names. He tightened his grip on the flashlight and whispered to himself, "Stay brave, just stay brave." And the hallway beyond the door whispered back. The library doors groaned as Mr. Allen pushed them open. The storm outside had dimmed to a steady roar, but inside Crestwood High, the air was colder, heavier. The students followed close behind, silent except for their quick breaths and wet shoes squeaking on the tiles. The library stretched before them. Rows of shelves fading into darkness, the faint red glow of the emergency lights brushing across the spines of forgotten books. "Stay together," Mr. Allen said softly. His voice felt too loud in that stillness. He guided them toward the reading area at the back, where the tables sat in neat lines covered in dust. A few of the hanging lights swayed gently, though there was no wind. Lily clutched her notebook tighter as she scanned the room. "Why is it so cold here?" she whispered. Mr. Allen didn't answer. The temperature had dropped since they entered, the chills sinking into their bones. His flashlight beam swept across the carpet, and stopped. Yearbooks, dozens of them, were scattered across the floor, open and torn. Pages fluttered like they were breathing. He knelt and picked one up. The cover read Crestwood High, 1985. Inside, black ink slashed across most of the faces, the photographs ruined, names scratched out until the paper tore. Only one picture remained untouched, a tall man in a brown suit, smiling faintly, eyes pale and familiar. "Who is that?" asked one of the boys behind him. Mr. Allen turned the book toward the light. The name below the image read Mr. Cole, History Department. Lily's hand went to her mouth. "That's him," she whispered. "Him who?" "The man from the hallway." Before he could speak, another student pointed at the far wall. A recent group photo was taped beside the door, edges yellowed from age. The staff of Crestwood High smiled stiffly in the picture. Near the corner, barely visible, was the faint outline of the same man, his body half faded, his face only a blur. A murmur passed through the students. Mr. Allen stared at the photo longer than he meant to. The resemblance was undeniable. He ran a hand through his hair, trying to think clearly, but the air felt too dense, pressing against his lungs. "This can't be real," one of the students whispered. Mr. Allen forced calm into his voice. "It's an old building. Things happen. Everyone, sit for a minute. Catch your breath." The group hesitated, then slowly lowered themselves to the floor between the tables. The sound of thunder drifted through the ceiling, muffled but steady. For a few moments, there was peace, fragile, trembling peace. Then came a sound from behind the shelves. A soft rustle, like someone running their fingers along the books. The noise slid from one end of the room to the other, smooth and deliberate. "Is anyone there?" Mr. Allen called, though he knew better. His voice echoed down the aisles, swallowed by the darkness. Lily stood, eyes wide. "It's moving," she said. "Behind the glass." They all turned toward the glass doors at the far end. A faint figure drifted past on the other side, slow and translucent. For an instant, the outline looked human, tall, with shoulders slightly bent, the same silhouette Mr. Allen had seen in the hallway. The light from his phone flickered as it passed, though his hand was steady. The figure paused, then faded completely. The silence afterward was worse than the noise. It was alive, humming deep in the walls. Without warning, one of the shelves shuddered. A book slid out and fell, then another. Pages tore free, spiraling through the air. The students screamed, huddling closer as more books dropped in waves, the sound filling the room like thunder. Mr. Allen pulled Lily down beside him as a heavy volume crashed onto the table where she had been standing seconds before. "Stay low," he shouted. The library erupted. Books flew from the shelves as if thrown by invisible hands, papers whirling in circles. The red light pulsed wildly, and the sprinkler pipes above began to groan. Then the fire alarm blared. Its shrill cry tore through the room, so loud it felt like it came from inside their skulls. The noise mixed with the storm's distant rumble, a chaotic symphony of sound. Mr. Allen covered his ears, shouting to be heard over it. "Everyone out. Go, now." But the doors slammed shut before anyone could move. The glass fogged over instantly, thick white mist swirling behind it. The fire alarm continued to scream, lights flashing red and white. Lily grabbed his sleeve, shouting above the noise, "It's not trying to scare us, it's angry." Mr. Allen's thoughts raced. The scattered books, the blacked-out faces, the old photo. It all pointed to one thing: the spirit wasn't random. It was bound to the school, bound to what had happened there. The building itself seemed alive, reacting to their presence. He rose slowly, forcing his voice to steady. "Listen to me," he said, loud enough to cut through the chaos. "We're not trapped in here with it. It's trapped here with us." The words hung in the air, echoing through the siren's wail. The students stared at him, caught between fear and disbelief. Mr. Allen stepped forward, toward the center of the room, flashlight aimed at the dark aisles. "You hear me?" he said, as if speaking to the building itself. "We know who you are. We know what happened." For a moment, the alarm sputtered. The noise stuttered, then quieted to a low hum. Papers drifted slowly to the ground. The oppressive weight in the air lifted just slightly. Lily looked up, trembling. "It's listening." Mr. Allen nodded. His reaction trembled in the cracked glass door. Behind it, the faintest outline of a man lingered in the mist, watching, waiting. The lights dimmed once more, leaving only the red glow flickering across the shelves. Mr. Allen didn't move. He took one slow breath, his voice calm again. "We'll find out what you want," he said softly. "And then we'll end this." Somewhere deep within the shelves, a single book fell open on its own, its yellowed pages fluttering to a stop on a date, March 4, 1985. Mr. Allen's eyes narrowed. "The day he vanished," he whispered. No one spoke. They stood in the red half-light, surrounded by the mess of fallen books, each heartbeat echoing in their ears. The library had revealed its secret, and something within it was listening still. The whisper came back, softer now, curling through the air like a sigh. "Welcome back, Mr. Allen." The flashlight flickered once, then went out. The screams reached them before the echo faded. They tore through the stairwell, sharp, terrified, real. Mr. Allen froze halfway down the corridor, his flashlight trembling in his grip. Behind him, Lily and the two remaining students, Evan and Mia, stared wide-eyed toward the sound. "Keep moving," he ordered, his voice low. "We can't stay out here." They turned into the science wing, the floor slick with rainwater dripping from the cracked ceiling. The door to the lab was slightly ajar. He pushed it open, ushering the others inside before locking it behind them. The smell of chemicals and mold hung thick in the air. Lily's whisper cut through the silence. What if they didn't make it? Mr. Allen didn't answer. The students stepped closer to him. "Stay behind me," he said. The shimmer grew denser, forming edges, first an arm, then a shoulder. A figure emerged from the distortion, tall and bent, its face obscured by smoke that bled from its skin. It wore what was left of a teacher's suit, burned along one sleeve, the collar charred and curling. Its body wasn't solid, shifting between shape and shadow. The room dropped in temperature. Their breaths turned to white mist. "Good evening, class," the voice rasped, deep and warped, like words pulled from a damaged recording. "Today, we discuss discipline." Lily whimpered. Evan stumbled backward, knocking over a stool. The crash echoed like a gunshot. Mr. Allen forced himself to stand firm. "You're not supposed to be here," he said, the words trembling but clear. The spirit tilted its head. The face was only half there, the other half gone, as though burned away. "Neither are you." It took a step forward. Every bulb in the ceiling shattered at once, raining glass. Mr. Allen grabbed a metal rod from a desk, holding it between them like a weapon. "Stay back." The ghost laughed, hollow and echoing. "You teach them lies. I taught the truth." From its chest came a whispering chorus, voices repeating words from old lessons, dates, formulas, equations, spoken by unseen mouths. The sound grew louder, merging into a single roar that vibrated through the tables. The spirit's hand slammed down on the nearest surface, leaving a burn mark that smoked. The smell of scorched wood filled the air. "Mr. Allen!" Lily shouted. "Over here." She had found a book half buried under fallen papers, a journal, the cover blackened, the edges curled from heat. Its pages fluttered as if alive, stopping on a single line written in fading ink, "Release me where I died." The ghost's voice deepened. "Not again." Mr. Allen glanced between Lily and the creature. "Read it," he said. Her hands shook as she lifted the book. "It says you can't leave this place because of the fire. Because they never found your body." The figure convulsed, smoke writhing around it. "They left me," it whispered, voice breaking. "The students, the staff, all of them." Mr. Allen stepped closer, gripping the flare gun he had pulled from the emergency cabinet. "You can end this. Tell me where it happened." The ghost's eyes, if they could be called that, flared white. "Below." The floor trembled, the building groaned, pipes rattling like chains. "The boiler room," Mr. Allen said. "That's where the fire started." Before anyone could speak, the spirit screamed, a sound that made the air vibrate. Flames erupted along the blackboards, hissing and vanishing as fast as they came. "Move!" Mr. Allen shouted. He fired the flare gun toward the spirit. When the light dimmed, the creature had vanished, but the echo of its voice lingered, twisting through the smoke. "You cannot free what you don't understand." He grabbed Lily's hand. "We have to go, now." They raced into the hallway, the door slamming shut behind them with a deafening crack. Emergency lights flickered out one by one. "Downstairs," Mr. Allen said. "The boiler room's at the bottom level." They sprinted through the maze-like halls. Shadows swelled along the walls, following in distorted shapes. The ghost's voice pursued them, whispering fragments of lessons, dates, equations, punishments, repeating each one like a mantra of madness. They turned a corner, nearly slipping on the wet floor. Behind them, lockers burst open with explosive force, spewing papers and debris. A chair flew across the hallway, smashing into the wall beside them. "Keep moving," Mr. Allen shouted. Lily clung to the journal, clutching it like a lifeline. At the far end, a staircase yawned downward, swallowed by darkness. Mr. Allen turned back for one last look. The spirit was there again, its form filling the space, its body shifting between fire and smoke. "Come to where I burn. Come, and learn. Go," he shouted, pushing the students ahead. "Down the stairs, don't stop until you see the furnace." Mr. Allen followed the others into the stairwell, clutching the fading flare gun, his heartbeat thundering. Somewhere deep beneath the school, the truth waited, and the dead were ready to be heard. Mr. Allen stepped off the last stair, his shoes sinking into a thin layer of black water. Lily descended behind him, clutching the journal against her chest, followed by Evan and Mia. Their faces shone with sweat and fear. The sound of the storm outside was distant now. "Stay close," Mr. Allen whispered. His voice was hoarse, strained from shouting. "This is where it happened." He moved toward the center of the room, where an enormous boiler stood, its surface cracked and scorched. Rusted chains hung from the ceiling like forgotten nooses. Smoke that wasn't from this night but from years past, sealed in the metal walls. Lily flipped open the scorched journal, her hands trembling. "It says he died here," she said softly. "The fire started when the pipes burst. He was trapped when the ceiling fell." Mr. Allen traced his flashlight across the rusted floor. Scorch marks spread outward from a single point, dark as dried blood. "This was his grave," he said. A sharp clang rang from the far end of the room. Evan jerked around. "Something's down here," he whispered. Mr. Allen didn't need to ask what. The spirit rose from the darkness, larger than before, its form stretching across the pipes like smoke-given shape. Its face flickered between solid and ash, the mouth twisted as if mid-scream. "You shouldn't have come," it rasped. "This place remembers." The students shrank behind Mr. Allen. He raised the flare gun, his hands steady now. "We came to end it," he said. The ghost drifted closer. "You can't end what's already burned," it whispered. "Fear feeds me. Always has." Mr. Allen could barely see the students through the haze, their silhouettes flickering like ghosts of their own. "Get to the ladder," he shouted. "Now." Lily hesitated. "What about you?" "I'll be right behind you," he lied. "Go." She grabbed Mia and Evan, pulling them toward the back corner where a maintenance ladder climbed up to the next level. The ghost turned its head, eyes glowing white. "You can't save them," it said. "You'll burn just like me." Mr. Allen stepped forward, his shoes splashing through the water. "Maybe," he said, "but not tonight." He aimed the flare gun. The spirit lunged, arms extending like ribbons of smoke. Mr. Allen fired once, the flare streaked across the air, a red comet vanishing into the mist. It struck a leaking pipe near the base of the boiler. For a moment, everything paused, the ghost frozen mid-scream, the air pulling tight around them. Then the explosion hit. Fire bloomed outward in a violent flash. The sound tore through the walls, shaking the entire building. The students screamed from above, clinging to the ladder as heat surged beneath them. The ghost's form twisted in the firelight, its scream stretching into a low, fading cry. Its body broke apart, scattering like ashes in the wind. The pressure burst another pipe, sending a rush of water into the blaze. The mix of steam and smoke turned the air white. "Mr. Allen!" Lily shouted. Her voice cracked through the roar. There was no answer. Only the sound of metal groaning, glass shattering, fire consuming air. The students climbed faster, bursting through a hatch onto the upper corridor just as the floor below collapsed. They stumbled through it, coughing, eyes stinging, the heat following them like a living thing. Outside, the night had turned pale with rain. Firefighters rushed toward the building, red lights spinning through the storm. The students stumbled into the open air, collapsing on the soaked grass. Behind them, Crestwood High burned, a towering pyre of flame and memory. Lily looked back at the collapsing windows, her voice breaking. He didn't make it. But then, through the smoke, a figure appeared, staggering, limping, one arm raised against the light. Mr. Allen emerged from the haze, soaked in soot and rain, his coat singed, his face streaked with ash. He moved slowly, each step heavy, but he was alive. Lily ran to him, throwing her arms around his waist. He winced, but his hand found the top of her head. "It's over," she said, crying into his jacket. He looked back at the burning school, flames. "Yes," he said quietly. "It's over." They stood in the rain, the sound of sirens and thunder blending together. Firefighters pushed past, shouting orders, hoses spraying arcs of water that hissed against the fire. Evan turned to him, voice hoarse. "You saved us." Mr. Allen managed a faint smile. "You saved yourselves," he said. The students gathered around him, silent as the school's final walls caved inward. Mr. Allen exhaled, long and slow, watching the smoke curl into the morning air. His voice came low, steady, and final. "Lessons over." The fire burned the spirit away, or maybe it just set it free. Some say the halls of Crestwood still whisper his name when it rains. Before the next story begins, tell me. Do you think the ghost was finally released, or did something else escape that night? Leave your answer in the comments. And remember to subscribe, because the next story might just find you.